Welcome to World Talk Brief. Today, we're diving into the dark side of cryptocurrency, theft. And the feeling of being a victim in this space, it's just different. As one person put it, just think about that for a second. You can literally see your money right there on the public blockchain, but there's absolutely nothing you can do to get it back. It's gone. And for Helen and her husband Richard, this wasn't just some abstract risk you read about online. Nope. This was the real, devastating loss of their entire investment, all $315,000 of it, money they'd spent 7 hard years saving up. You see, their story really drives home that this isn't just about code and algorithms. It's about real people, real lives, and absolutely gut-wrenching loss. So let's get into it and break down exactly how this is all happening. All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to stick with this personal story, a theft you can see but can't stop. Then we'll zoom out and look at the bigger picture, just how massive this epidemic of theft has become. After that, we'll peek inside the criminal's playbook. Then we'll get into the big philosophical question here, the whole be your own bank paradox. And finally, we'll see what happens when you've got nowhere left to turn. So let's start with Helen, who's a personal assistant, and Richard, a composer. Now, for 7 years, they poured every single spare dollar they had into a cryptocurrency called Cardano. I mean, they were really building a future for themselves, one investment at a time. And what's so frustrating here is that the problem wasn't with Cardano itself. The weak link? It was their own digital security. Hackers managed to breach their cloud storage, found the digital keys to their crypto wallet, and just like that, in one swift, silent moment, everything they had was gone. Helen's analogy for this feeling is just perfect. Because all crypto transactions are public on the blockchain, she and Richard could literally sit there and watch their entire life savings move from one anonymous digital wallet to another. They were completely and utterly powerless. Okay, so let's zoom out from this one very personal tragedy and look at the much bigger picture, because unfortunately, Helen and Richard's story is, well, it's far from unique. So get this, globally there are an estimated 560 million people who now own some form of cryptocurrency. That is a staggering number. We're talking more than 500 million potential targets for criminals. And the scale of the crime, it's just mind-boggling. According to the blockchain analysis firm Chainalysis, in 2025 alone, thieves made off with more than $3.4 billion worth of crypto. Just let that sink in. But this next number is the one that's really crucial to our story today. This isn't money stolen from some giant faceless exchange or a big corporation. No, this $713 million was stolen directly from individuals, people just like Helen and Richard. And that number is growing fast, and honestly, it's probably way higher since so many of these personal thefts go unreported. And if you look at the trend, it's crystal clear and pretty alarming. The number of attacks that specifically target individual crypto investors actually doubled in just a few years, jumping from 40,000 in 2022 to 80,000 by 2025. So the big question is, how are these criminals actually pulling this off? Well, their playbook has seriously evolved. It now ranges from these incredibly sophisticated digital scams all the way to, well, shocking physical violence. On the digital side of things, these guys are basically acting like high-tech data brokers. One hacker even admitted to the BBC that he bought customer lists from a data breach at Kering. That's the company that owns luxury brands like Gucci. He then takes that data, cross-references it to find wealthy people, gets their contact info, and then uses social engineering to trick them into just handing over their crypto. But listen, the threat is no longer just digital. The crypto community actually has a pretty chilling term for physical robberies. They call them wrench attacks. And this is exactly where the digital world of crypto crime collides, often violently, with the physical world. And make no mistake, these are not just a few isolated incidents. These stories are brutal, and they're happening all over the globe. In Spain, a man was held captive, shot, and later found dead. In France, a crypto security executive was abducted, and they actually cut off his finger during the extortion. And in the UK, masked men forced a guy on the side of the road to transfer £1.5 million worth of crypto right then and there. This explosion in crime, both digital and physical, it really exposes a fundamental tension, a real paradox that lies right at the heart of the whole cryptocurrency philosophy.
This really gets to the core trade-off, doesn't it? I mean, traditional finance, for all its faults, is built on layers and layers of regulation and customer protection. But crypto offers this revolutionary idea, this freedom of being your own bank. You have total, absolute control. But here's the catch. That freedom comes with immense risk. There's no safety net. There's no one to call when it all goes wrong.
And this isn't just some implied risk that people are supposed to figure out. No, it's an explicit warning from regulators. I mean, the UK's Financial Conduct Authority puts it about as plainly as you can. If you invest in crypto, you should be prepared to lose all of your money. Full stop. So what does this lack of a safety net actually look like in the real world? Let's go back to the victims we met at the beginning of this explainer, Helen and Richard. And this is where the story gets even more heartbreaking. Richard reveals where a huge chunk of their savings came from. It was money from the sale of his late mother's house. It was an inheritance that she had worked her entire life for, and it was just gone, in an instant. But you know what? Here's maybe the most surprising part of their entire story. After losing literally everything, after being forced to sell their car and Richard's musical instruments, after even experiencing homelessness, their belief in the promise of crypto is still there. It's really a testament to the powerful allure of financial freedom. They actually say that if they can ever recover or save up the money again, they plan to reinvest. And that just brings us right to this central, unavoidable question that crypto forces every single one of us to confront. It offers this incredible, unprecedented financial freedom, but it also places the entire burden of security and the full crushing consequence of failure squarely on your shoulders. It leaves us with this one nagging question. When you are your own bank, who can you possibly turn to when you get robbed? Subscribe to World Talk Brief for more clear, thoughtful explanations. World Talk Brief. News explained without the noise.